calling.
Yeah, he doesn't know what's in the deck.
Right.
Yeah. So that is one thing that Brennan has going for him right now. Obviously, things do not look great. We're working with perfect information. We got the deck list. We know his hand. We know his battlefield. The only thing we don't know is the top card of his deck. Edgar knows basically none of that. Nick knows is a bit of a giveaway. But past that, he doesn't know if Brennan does have company, if he has cord or something else kind of unique to the situation.
You would not be surprised by the presence of any of those cards.
Correct. So when you're not sure what your opponent has in their deck, sometimes you just say, I'll attack you.
This will clarify the game state very quickly.
Yeah. I was going to try to kill you. Nothing else matters.
And if DeCandio just says no blocks, you can be pretty confident he's on nothing. Maybe you try to finish him off with the burn spells here. Maybe you just use your removal spells if you don't quite have lethal. But, you know, another risk here is, let's say, you know, Magalhaes says, all right, I'll kill your 2 creatures. You could still just die on the way back to Collecting Company. You're not even 100% sure it's out of the hand at this point. Be pretty confident, but can't be all the way sure.
Here's Kolaghan's command. Gonna make Brennan discard his last card. And Brennan may have just said no blocks.
Yeah. And I like this from Magalhaes. Get the discard out of there. Just make sure that nothing is going on.
Yeah. Bolt you, finish you. Death Shadow's enormous. Spirit tokens are coming through. And DeCandio's going to concede the game. So Edgar Magalhaes is going to win game number 1 here over Brennan DeCandio. Mardu Death Shadow makes it look easy there over Mono Green Devotion.
Really tight sequencing from Magalhaes there. I don't believe I've watched him play before, but I think he played a really sharp game.
Yeah, I've seen him at quite a few tournaments. I don't think I've ever played against Edgar, and we don't see him in the feature match area all that often. But, I mean, some pretty good sequencing from a deck that we actually don't see very often either. So that is worth noting. So we are going to get ready here for game number 2. But before we do that, a few quick messages from our sponsors. As these players prepare to take a look at their sideboards, first of all, welcome back. Cedric Phillips, Patrick Sullivan, we're here in the booth. And more importantly, Patrick, what's the spellcasted flashback that game?
Lingering Souls.
Book it. I'm on the board, folks.
Well, I think I have 5+ creatures attack in 1 turn.
Yeah, 4 Spirit tokens and Death Shadow. Yep.
Count that.
All right, so you're back in the lead.
Let's see if anything else here. Think the answer is no.
No invocations. Player controls 5 or more artifacts or enchantments. No.
Street Wraith could have been cast as a creature.
Player cycles a card.
Yep.
Street Wraith, book it.
Yep.
G top shelf for the bingo board. We're going to go to their sideboards really quick here, by the way, while I'm working on my bingo board. Card has 4+ counters? No.
No. Player ends 1 turn at 14 or less life. That did not happen.
That did not happen.
That did not happen.
No. Storm count of 8, no. Pre-game effects, attacking creature gets exalted. Yeah, we'll see that later, that's for sure. Okay. That's for sure. So I got 2, you got 2?
Yeah.
Not bad. Not bad. Kind of like where we're at. Let's start with Brennan DeCandio, shall we? 4 Blood Moon, 3 Ancient Grudge, 3 Tireless Tracker, 2 Chameleon Colossus, 2 Scavenging Ooze, and Obstinate Bailoff. I did see Brennan asking for a Chameleon Colossus on social media earlier today, so it looks like he's got that. What do we think here?
Well, I really like the 4 copies of Blood Moon. Magalhaes' deck is, you saw a lot of Ravnica duels there. I think it's an easy one to bring in. And I can see arguments, honestly, for Chameleon Colossus and for Tireless Tracker, just playing kind of a bigger game. if you think your mana is going to get broken up, if you're not going to be able to just wait for a million against a deck with this much discard and removal, you might have to go and try to win with some of your medium threats. And it wouldn't surprise me if DeCandio just brought them all in.
We'll go over to Edgar's sideboard now. He's Leyline Flooded, 4 Leyline of the Void, 4 Leyline of Sanctity, 2 Fulminator Mage, 2 Molten Rain, 2 Wear Tear, and a Shatterstorm.
Same 60.
Yeah.
Same 60.
We're going to make it real nice and clean and easy.
Well, you know, if you want to bring in Fulminator Mages and Molten Rains to try to nick those, go ahead. But if DeCandio's got anything going on, he's going to need one turn with it, and you are not going to have an opportunity to blow it up.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that one. With regards to Blood Moon, actually easy for Brennan to cast. He's got 3 Birds of Paradise. He's got 4 Windswept Heath and 4 Wooded Foothills to go on 1 Stomping Ground. And a fun way to do it, Burning Tree Emissary.
Oh, I had not considered.
Oh, yeah.
The hybrid mana implications.
Ah, yes. That's a fun,
That's a fun
different way to do it.
That's a better way to do it.
DeCandio will be on the play here for game number 2. As you mentioned, he decided to play this deck, 1, because he thinks it's powerful and explosive, but 2, because it's a good Blood Moon deck, as he's going to go back and take a look at 6 cards here in just a moment.
Yep. If you like the positioning of big mana decks, though it's confusing, because part of the attraction of playing a big mana deck is all these people with these bolts and pushes and paths that aren't any good against you. And bolts and pushes and paths are definitely good against DeCandio's
Yes,
decks. So
those
that is
cards are good here.
That is the cost.
Yep.
And he's running into a matchup here against 8 1-mana discard spells, 4 bolt, 3 push, 2 collective brutality, 3 Kolaghan's command, 2 dismember.
Right.
Those cards are much better against Birds of Paradise than they are against Urza's Tower. So it's not, you know, there are some costs to trying to do it this way.
Top level analysis.
Oh, yeah.
Just really good. Nope, we're going to 5. Brennan's deck not cooperating with him earlier this morning.
Much like, it's different, but much like Jund and Abzan, these Mardu decks are really punishing to mulligan against because they trade 1 for 1 so efficiently.
Yeah, one thing you're not interested in, you know, is mulligan. You just kind of want to keep 7 and kind of hope that the top of your deck cooperates with you a lot. Now, if he gets started by Thoughtseize, I don't want to say the game's over because, you know, that's a bit hyperbolic, but it's not great.
No.
It's not great.
There's just a lot of ways to fail from here. You have a hand that's leaning on 1 card, it gets taken by a discard spell. You're light on mana, and your mana creatures are getting killed. So this is tough sledding. But keep in mind, DeCandio's deck does have the possibility, even on 5 cards, of just ripping off a turn 2 Blood Moon. And if Magalhaes is not prepared for it, a lot of his hands are just rendered non-functional by it. One of my opponents last week who played this Mardu deck had main deck Blood Moons of their own, which was confusing because they locked themselves out in games 1 and 3 with it. I typically think this deck is, you know, the turn 3 Blood Moon, the turn 4 Flashback Faithless Looting, and discard a Lingering Soul. Somebody else I couldn't play anymore. I think this deck is a lot better trying to avoid Blood Moon than trying to play it.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But you know, what do I know?
You're new around here. All right. We got an Arbor Elf, folks. We'll see if that lives. Well, I just drew a Dismember. Down to 19. Potentially less here. Is Magalhaes.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how Magalhaes fetches here. Does go get a Swamp, so some cover here against a Blood Moon, though there is no planes in his deck.
Dismember will take care of the Arbor Elf for DeCandio. He'll play a Forest. There's an Arbor Elf. Pass the turn back. We'll go back over to Magalhaes. He'll play an Inquisition of Kozilek. There goes Genesis Wave. Just lands in hand.
Feels like against the spirit of the card to be able to take Genesis Wave with an Inquisition.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
I mean, the rules are the rules. I get it.
Cycle Street Wraith. Down to 13th goes Edgar. See what else he wants to do this turn as he plays a Wooded Foothills. I'm going to sacrifice. Nope. Just kidding. When you come back after this game, we'll talk about Blood Sun while you set up the next match. Utopia Sprawl. Big draw.
It's a huge rip.
Huge peel.
Well, it's at least some mana. If Magalhaes doesn't put him under any pressure, you still have your draw steps.
I think Chameleon Colossus is the best draw. Maybe Primeval Titan.
Chameleon Colossus is the card that's most likely to just engender a, oh, I didn't know that was coming, and I can't kill it, and now I'm actually behind.
Yes.
He's so far away mana-wise from Primeval Titan, assuming this Arbor Elf dies, that...
Lingering Soul is the draw. Edgar going to sacrifice his Bloodstained Mire. See what land he wants to go get as he falls down to 11. There's Blood Crypt, down to 9. Kolaghan's Command in the draw step, shall we? Kill your Arbor Elf and make you discard? Yeah. There we go.
I was not sure if Magalhaes there was going to try to get him in the draw step or get back a Street Wraith and cycle again.
Speaking of which, spell cast in the draw step. Bang. That's big, because that's a hard one to get.
Yeah.
That is a hard one to get. Lingering Souls brings 2 spirits to DeCandio's draw. Stomping Ground. One of these is better than the other. In for 2. DeCandio's going to fall down to 18. Death Shadow. That'll kill Brennan quickly, along with more spirit tokens. And draw. And Nykthos. I don't want to say this is embarrassing, but it's not a great look for Mono Green Devotion right now.
I don't know.
It's not great.
5 cards against this deck is brutal.
It's not great, yeah.
And this is the exact type of deck that punishes you the most for doing the mana creatures instead of lands sort of thing.
Spell played in draw step again. Another Kolaghan's Command. We're all done here, folks. We're all done here. Edgar Magalhaes is going to win game number 1 and 2 over Brennan DeCandio as Mardu Death Shadow annihilates Mono Green Devotion. Truly annihilates it.
Wasn't close.
Not close at all. But that's how things go, as we are going to come back here to the booth, and I think we're going to get ready for another match. And while we do get ready for another match, I want to talk about another Magic card from Rivals of Ixalan. That sound good?
Okay.
All right. So that matchup had Blood Moon. You see where I'm going with this. There's another Blood Moon in Rivals of Ixalan. It's called Blood Sun. Blood Sun is the card I want to take a look at here. Some people are calling this like a fixed Blood Moon. I don't know if that's the thing. It's just a different card.
It's way different.
It's just a different card.
A different card.
Yeah.
All right, so there's 2 ways I see this one playing out in Modern.
Okay.
One is a sideboard card it's good against decks like Valakut and Affinity that lean on the powers of the text boxes of their lands. And if you are really in the market for a cantrip, you want a lower opportunity cost, or your deck can't handle playing with Blood Moon itself, then there you go. Like something like Magalhaes' deck could easily play this. Can't really play Blood Moon, for example.
Okay.
The other route that I can see this going, this is the less optimistic scenario.
Oh, I like this.
Is this ends up being a 4X main deck piece for decks like Red-Green Land Destruction, Red-White Prison, Chalice Trinisphere style strategies.
Okay.
Decks that are just, I'm in the market for disruptive cantrips that cut off fetch lands.
Okay. Okay.
Because this cuts off fetch lands for the rest of the game.
Yeah, it does.
So if you're happy with your opponent being, if I've locked my opponent out of fetch lands for the rest of the game, it's not good enough for me to turn them into mountains. They literally have to not make mana for forever.
Okay.
Then if you're building that style of deck, which, those, Red, White Prison, Red, Green Land Destruction, that they're in the market for that sort of thing, and they don't need fetch lands to make their mana work. They could easily just play with random basics and random duels that exist. I think this card, you could build proactively around it that way.
Yeah, it's an interesting card here. So cantripping is nice. Blood Moon itself does not do that. It does a bunch of other things. So when it enters the battlefield, draw a card. Sure, everyone loves drawing a card. All lands lose all abilities except mana abilities. So let's see.